Get a load of this!
So how's it going, guys? It's been a while since we did one of these. Almost a year, in fact, since The Mandalorian ended its first season. And now we're on to season 2. And I was really looking forward to this. I mean, this has been a horrible year. But, it was just actually a great day. I'm not going to get into that here. You could go check social media. Something that was pretty exciting after coming home from work, seeing something very reassuring and fantastic. So if you want to see what that's all about, go check out my social media. The links are down here for that if you're interested. But if you're not, then you're here just for the review. That's fine too. So we kicked off this season probably in the best way possible. I mean, this is just an amazing show. I mean, I don't think that a Star Wars television show could be any better than this, to be quite honest. I mean, they've taken the show in a whole different direction, probably different than we really expected, and it's working so effectively. Now, the way how this went is not even how I thought it was going to go. I thought we were going to get into the Moff Gideon stuff right away. I mean, because that's how we, left off the end of the first season. During the finale, and there wasn't a huge, massive cliffhanger. Gideon survived, but it wasn't like, oh my god, like Mando's life was on the line or something like that. But a good cliffhanger nonetheless. That Gideon had survived the TIE fighter wreck. But here we've got a self-contained story, and we find that Mando is now on the hunt for his fellow Mandalorians. And he goes and speaks to a mobster, and then he gets surrounded having guns pointed at his head. I really liked the part where they had the Gamorrean guards from Return of the Jedi, the guys, the pig warriors, I used to call them before I actually knew the species name. I liked how they were, just fighting in the ring. They appeared in Return of the Jedi. They were the guys with the big axes and all the armor. They've been in some of the video games as well. So, it was good to see those characters as well, that species fighting it out. And I like how Mando dealt with that guy. And that was actually John Leguizamo. Like, I did not even recognize the voice. But, like, when I saw in the credits order of appearance, I was like, well, yeah, who else would John Leguizamo be playing? But I don't think a lot of people picked up on that. But no, that was the John Leguizamo in there. And, Mandalorian is racking up some pretty talented actors. I mean, we had some really good ones last season. Nick Nolte, for me, being a huge, massive fan of the 48-hour films, that was like a dream come true for me. Star Wars and 48 hours kind of getting into some weird combination, but not really so much. That was great. And the fact that, we've got John Leguizamo, not one of my favorite actors, but, a good actor to have in there, a small little part. The way how he dispatched them. I like how they were walking in the beginning. You see all these beady eyes just, in the shadows. And you only see little tiny silhouettes of these creatures. Then he hangs him upside down, shoots out the street lamp. And I like this. You don't really see this. Like, this was like the slums. This was like a bad neighborhood in Star Wars. If you live like in a big urban city or something like that, you wouldn't really know. But like, that's what it looked like. It looked kind of like Star Wars, but not really so much like in the past. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It seemed like a galaxy very near, actually, if you ask me. But I like that, and those same creatures, he shoots out the street lamp, and like, I like how they left that to the imagination, just like a little small part there, like, but you don't get to see how the creatures actually look, leaving something up to the imagination, not shoving it in your face right away. But anyway, Mando finds out, before these creatures rip the guy to shreds, that there is another Mandalorian, and he is down on Tatooine. He meets up with this Mandalorian. It's not really a Mandalorian, but rather a town sheriff who is wearing the armor of a Mandalorian after his town was taken over by miners. And we find out that this guy right here, the person playing this fake Mandalorian, is Timothy Olyphant, star of HBO's Deadwood. Also, he was in one of the Die Hard films. A great actor, another great actor to add to the list of the Mandalorian's, actor credits. Just, another great A+ actor in there. So that was really great. And what was cool, it's like you had a guy who played a sheriff, a guy in charge, in Die Hard, he was the big bad. And then he was in FX's Justified. He was the sheriff in Deadwood on HBO. So, like, this guy is always in charge. And the fact that he was a sheriff, that was just great. That was a nice added touch. So anyway, Mando wants the armor back. He says he'll give it back if he helps him take care of a Krayt Dragon. And so he agrees to it. And he helps out a town. So once again, it's helping out another town. Now, this is very interesting how they went about with the Krayt Dragon. This long story short, we get these parts where Mando and the Timothy Olyphant sheriff character are going to talk to the Tusken Raiders, who are also affected by the Krayt Dragon. And you see, for the first time ever, these creatures actually communicating with another species, with Mando, with a human being. And I thought that was a really nice touch. So it turns out they've kind of got this like sign language thing going on, and they do more than just hey. They actually like kind of have different tonalities in their voice. Like there's things with the linguistics. I don't know, it's one of the weirdest sounding Star Wars languages that there probably is in existence, but I really like that, how he's communicating with them. Like, Mando's a man of many talents. Like, I kind of like that about his character, how he's very like adaptive and always just is thinking ahead, and just he's very cultured, but not really like in a very snooty kind of way. He's kind of just very subtle about it, like, oh, well, by the way, I know how to speak Tusken. Not like that at all. And that's what I like, about the Mando character. You don't see like Mando, this is not a guy, that's full of like massive personality, but there's small touches to his character where there's still charm somehow. Even the fact that he's kind of just, a straightforward kind of character, there's little nuances in there, and I like that. So they kind of play around with the Mando character. But anyway, this Krayt Dragon, when I first saw it, I kind of figured that it was a Krayt Dragon when I saw like the spines on its back. But then when it popped up, I was like, it pops out of the sand and eats a bantha. And I'm kind of like, well, is that really a Krayt Dragon? Because I just kind of figured it's Tatooine and everything, and I see the spiny back and everything. But it looked like a worm. It looked like something out of Dune or something like that, or like Tremors, or one of these types of movies. And that wasn't the case at all. It was actually a Krayt Dragon. It was just I didn't see the eyes at first, which made me question it. So like I immediately thought like, oh well, it's not one. But then then they explained that this Krayt Dragon ate a Sarlacc. And it's like they're drawing up like the battle plans on how to deal with this. They don't really explain it too well. There's one brief mention that the Tuskens were studying the Sarlacc, pit's digestion, the Sarlacc's, monster's digestion. And it's kind of like you just kind of figure it out, I guess, but you kind of have to be a little bit like familiar with Star Wars lore. We're not really splitting the atom with Star Wars lore here. But it's like, they don't really explain it too well. Like, why is a dragon, like, diving into the sand? And then I kind of, like, figured it out at the end of the episode, sitting back and thinking about it. I'm like, oh, okay, because it's supposed to be, like, he ate the Sarlacc, and, like, part of his body is digested, I think. I think that's so. It was really cool. I mean, the part that we see of the head is massive, and there's nothing wrong with this at all. The way how they take this thing down, Mando gets himself swallowed. They kind of do a little bit of a tribute where he hits like Timothy Oliphant's jetpack and he just goes like blasting off. It's kind of like the same way how Boba Fett did, when he gets his jetpack like hit by accident, he goes just blasting off into the sail barge and he falls into the Sarlacc pit. Remember that part? So it's kind of like a little bit of an ode to that, a bit of an homage, I suppose. But the Krayt Dragon, like when they showed him up close, like looked really good. But I kind of felt like they did this in a way that they only showed the head and had him diving into the sand like he was some type of big Beetlejuice worm, was because I don't think they maybe had like the full-on budget or the time to build a full-scale Krayt Dragon, because people, who like me, who've played a great majority of the Star Wars games, I don't really remember a lot of like Krayt Dragons appearing in there, but there is one that sticks out of my mind, and you battle the Krayt Dragon. This is kind of like something you hear about like in Star Wars, but they don't really show it to you that often. But they did show you a full-scale Krayt Dragon in the first Knights of the Old Republic, and it's a dragon pretty much. It's a big, standing up on its hind legs and standing and it's towering. But here, like, they made like this thing was even more massive. Like its head takes up the entire cave that it's staying in. But it kind of like doesn't have any arms or legs or anything. They say that it has a belly, so everything that is like needed for it to live, it has. But I guess in a way I could say I'm a little disappointed. I guess I would have liked to see a big towering Krayt Dragon, because it doesn't feel very dragony. There are different parts though where they have its like head pop out of like the top of the cave, and that thing really like travels around pretty fast for a big massive dragon. But I think a lot of people will be kind of confused by this because they don't really explain it too well. But I don't really think people are going to care. I don't think they're like me where they, like, I'm all stopping there and thinking like, oh, Star Wars lore, this has to make sense to me. I think that's kind of the fault sometimes of being that big of a Star Wars fan, is that you have to like think about this stuff. Sometimes I kind of wish I could be like one of those people that hasn't like played so many of the games and read so many of the books and is familiar with the expanded universe, because people are just gonna be like, oh look, it's a dragon worm thing, yeah, let's, they're not even gonna like, they're gonna hear Sarlacc pit and they're probably not even gonna know what that is. I mean, it is mentioned in Return of the Jedi, but it's like most people just kind of think of it as the pit monster. They don't even know it's like, if you ask the average pit, hey, remember the Sarlacc, they'd be like, what? They won't know what that is, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I really like the way how they ended this with him just in the belly of the beast. Like, we all know he's not gonna die. It's the season premiere. Oh, wouldn't that be a great way to start off? Hey, by the way, guys, Baby Yoda is gonna be your new main star. And I think maybe there might be some people that wouldn't have minded that. Timothy Oliphant maybe, and Baby Yoda cruising across the galaxy. But yeah, so he sets off and he's off to find like the real Mandalorian that he's looking for. And as the camera pans away, we see Tamora Morrison. Yeah, that's right, Jango Fett standing there. And you know what the funny thing is? I didn't even mention this before. When I first, just for a brief second, that's why I didn't really go into it that much. When the Timothy Oliphant character walks into the bar where him and Mando first meet, I thought for one split second, I was like, is that Boba Fett? But the armor looks a little bit different, but maybe it's because it's beat up. And I'm kind of thinking, maybe that is his armor? Because he buys it off the Jawas, and like, where would they find armor like that on Tatooine? And like Mando says that they don't, he's been on Tatooine for, quite some time, spent a lot of time there, and he didn't see any Mandalorians. So maybe that is his armor, and now he's going to be in possession of that armor, which is going to make, you know, if this is going to be the Boba Fett character, that is, and you see the scars on his face, he's heavily scarred, so that would definitely allude to the fact that it is Boba Fett, but we haven't had any confirmation that Morrison will be playing Boba Fett. But I think it's kind of implied in a way, because you're giving us this character that, you know, this is still within the same Star Wars lore, you know, and even though he does look different now, you know, it's cut from the same cloth. I mean, after all, this is, you know, still in the same universe. You know, this is not an alternate universe, so it has to be. So I'm going to guess that this is going to be Boba Fett seeking back his armor, and I think that probably is his armor, and it might look a little different now, but that would make sense because, you know, it's been faded, it's been beat up and everything, and, you know, so I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how they're gonna factor in Moff Gideon. I mean, I'm gonna guess and say that the second episode will probably see Morrison. I've got a feeling that we might not see him again after that. I don't really think that they're going to push like Boba Fett big time in here, because I think that would be a mistake, and they're not going to do that. You know, I don't think that we're going to go back and, you know, to Boba Fett again. I think that's just going to be a little bit of fan service, a little something interesting to see Mando against this legendary, you know, Mandalorian warrior. But you know, be that as it may, I think that you're probably going to see at the end of the episode next week on episode 2 that we're going to be going back into the Gideon stuff. And I think we're going to then, you know, kind of depart from the self-contained stories once more and get back to the more of a sense of continuity between the episodes. I think we're going to be seeing that once Gideon gets back into picture. But I enjoy episodes like this. This was like a kind of like a monster movie of sorts, and they did a monster movie better in 45 minutes than most monster movies do in an hour and a half. So I'm okay with that. You know, I enjoy some monster movies, and this was a Star Wars monster movie, but a lot of, a lot of fun parts thrown in there with the Tusken Raiders and everything. So I really enjoyed this episode, and this show at this point, really, it could do no wrong. I like these new, situations and characters and everything, and I just find it very appealing to me. Just the way how this episode started off, very stylish. We've got the Krayt Dragon, something that we've never seen before on our screens. It's not something that they've shown really in any, the television-based media. It hasn't been in any of the movies. And I didn't watch all the Clone Wars, but I don't think there's any Krayt Dragons in there either. But anyway, guys, I really enjoyed what I saw today in the season 2 episode 1. Yeah, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Did you enjoy the season premiere, or do you think it left a lot to be desired? Do you think maybe they should have just went back into the Gideon stuff right away? What'd you think of the Krayt Dragon? Did you like that it was like a partial Krayt Dragon that was like partially digested, or do you wish your Krayt Dragon had feet and arms? Anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.